Right guys, so this is the first video on Parfit Draws, starting this next part of the journey. I want to keep this as raw as possible, but I've got so much stuff to say that I have got a little list of, almost like a script. So like there will be parts of this that will seem robotic. I do apologise. There's multiple reasons why I'm recording this. I'm aware of how important it is to have a personal brand. I want to be an entrepreneur with my art and stuff like that. So you got to be out there, basically. And also, with art and all my goals and things I want to do, I do go off grid. I feel like a lot of the time to do this stuff, and I feel like I lose contact with people a little. So hopefully this can be where, if you know me and you haven't seen me for ages, and you can just go on here and use it to check up on what I'm up to, how I'm doing, where I'm at in life. So the story is, obviously I've always been into art, but I'd say this past year or so I've just been obsessed with this idea of I have to do it for a living. And obviously to do that especially because I want to do realism, I don't want to do abstract, at least for a living. So, you need to build objectively good skills that you can't argue with. It's not just talent, it's this guy knows, he's put in time and practice and he's good, you can't argue with that. I also thought it was cool to be an online influencer. I guess I liked a bit of attention, a bit of acting, so I was doing these skits, on the Parfit Draws Instagram, created that account, and the original plan was right, if I'm going to sell my art, I need a fan base to do that, so, I'm going to try blow up, go viral, get this fan base, and then I'll promote the art afterwards, once I got a following. But it's I realised, what's the point in having a big fan base if I haven't been able to make my artwork even good? So if it's shit and it's not even sellable, what's the point in having this fan base that could buy it? I've got nothing to market then. So I stopped with that, and I was right, I'm actually gonna put all my energy now into actually just training drawing, building a portfolio, trying to get my style, my niche. Yeah. And the thing is, obviously, this takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy to do, to improve your skills. It's not you just draw, have some fun. No, this is it's the same as if you're training for sports or something like that. And the thing is, so my situation was that I just got this job in fast food, and the thing is, I guess I wanted a little bit of income to get by, especially and the thing is, my mindset and goals had shifted a lot from when I applied for the job, and then obviously when I got it, when I got the job, I was a lot more serious about doing art. And in the back of my head, I always felt I don't really need much money, but I need time, and this job is taking my time. And also, to be honest, I was being a bit of a bitch about it, I have to work for someone else, this is so depressing, I can't work for, but it's just part of life, innit? So, and yeah, so talking to people about after I quit, they'd be how come you couldn't have just had your job and still be doing this on the side? And it's I could have, but with the amount of time and energy that I wanted to put in, it was stressful, and it was turning me into an intense person, which I didn't want to be, because say my mates would want to go out and meet up, friends want to see you, that's a good thing, and my mind would see it as a problem, something that was getting in the way of my art, and it was stressing me out. And it's that's just not how you want to live your life. That's not how you want to be. So I was like, right, something's gonna have to be sacrificed here. And so I saved up some money from work, just enough, and then I was like, right, I'm just gonna drop this on the spot. And, you know, it's a big risk. I mean, like, getting a job nowadays is so hard. And I was searching for a job for ages, you know. And then what? I just quit a couple months after getting it. And, you know, there is fire under my ass. Like, you know, I got these driving lessons that I got to pay for. And, like, yeah, I've saved up a bit of money, but I'm barely, you know, this is tight. And there are sacrifices, you know, by doing this. There's massive sacrifices that I got to make, you know. Not spending money on clothes, on how I look. You know, sacrificing lads' holidays, like, stuff that's so, you know, only happens while you're young and, like, once in your life. Stuff that's, like, memories. You know, I'm sacrificing that to do this. So I guess it just shows, you know, I care about the art that much that I am willing to do that, you know, but it's not an easy decision. So, like, what I'm doing to learn art, you know, improve my art is, I'm sure most people can agree that uni teaches you jack shit. You know, you learn nothing basically, and then paying $9 grand. But so I've got these online courses, and again, I had to pay, like, yeah, I dropped some bags on that, like a couple hundred on these courses, like anatomy, portrait, even just drawing fundamentals, you know, because there's certain things that you need to know in order to, like, draw realistic things. And yeah, so I blew money on that. So I guess I'm going to use this channel to record my progress as well, because the thing is, like, obviously art is about the love of the game, and that's why I'm doing it, because I just enjoy the process. But if I'm doing all this work, I don't want to just die alone and, like, unknown inside this closet, and that's my legacy. Like, I just disappeared, and then, you know, I want to share this work. I want to share my journey and what's going on. So yeah, right, that's the first video done. It's mad to see how this will be in 1 year.